Hello, my name is Joel, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, Share Deck. Today I'm going to be doing another 5-color deck tech for Sisay, the Weatherlight Captain. So the goal of the deck is pretty much going Voltron style, so all you're doing is you're trying to equip Sisay with a lot of powerful equipments, try to swing for the win, and then backed up with this uh, activated ability of searching out for a legendary permanent equal to its power. So with all the equipment powering it up, there shouldn't be a problem trying to look for a specific uh, legendary card. So, and then also Seaside also gets a +1/+1 for each color among other legendary permanents you control. So that's another power boost to make it a lot easier to search out for permanents. So that's the commander, Seaside the Weatherlight Captain. So we'll go through the lands. So with the lands, it's pretty much the same as all my other 5-color decks. Since all I do is I literally just transfer all the fetches, the pretty much all the lands other than the basics and some utility cards, utility lands. So they're pretty much the same. So we're just gonna power through this real quick. So we got City of Brass, Command Tower, Exotic Orchard, Reflecting Pool, Mana Confluence. That's for my 5-color land production. So going through the 3-color, couple of 4 Triomes, Idanta, Zagoth, Savai, and Ketria. Then the Ravnica dual lands. We got Steam Vents, Stomping Ground, Overgrown Tomb, Godless Shrine, Reading Pool, Sacred Foundry, Watery Grave, Temple Garden, Blood Crypt, Hallowed Fountain. So with the fetch lands, we got a Polluted Delta, Windswept Heath, Flooded Strand, Misty Rainforest, Marsh Flats, Bloodstained Mire, Verdant Catacombs, Arid Mesa, a Wooded Foothills, and a Prismatic Vista, and a Fabled Passage. And then some basic lands. So we got Plains. We got 4 plains, and 1 of each basic land. So we got a swamp, an island, a forest, and a mountain. So let's press on with the equipment package. So we got Sword of Fire and Ice. So this is definitely a card that I usually search for, because it gives me a card advantage and at the same time gives me that extra little bit of reach for any opponents that their life total is kind of low. So I'll try to ping them there, especially if I get my my commander to double strike. So I get to do 4 damage and at the same time draw 2 cards. So it's not bad, and at the same time gives me protection, gives Seaside protection from red and blue. So Sword of Sinew and Steel, a little bit of a removal for this one. It's +2/+2 and protection from black and red. So Feast and Famine, the next important card in my deck. The discard is okay, but the untap all lands is definitely the bread and butter for this card. Yeah, it is kind of misprint when I bought it, but I mean, it is what it is. So what happens is if I get doubles, if I able to give Seaside double strike, so what's gonna happen is when it does its first strike, I get to untap it. Try to, if I have all 5 colors, I'll be able to search for a land, and then when it strikes again, then I'll untap it and try to search for another. So it gives me double duty that way. So it gives me card advantage too. So Sword of Body of Mind, this is definitely just there. So just to be on theme of having all the swords. It's not really, I mean, it's okay. It gives me a blocker, so protection from green and blue, and it puts 10 cards, because this probably might even help some other decks, but not particularly mine. Alright, Sword, War, and Peace. This is more damage, so it gives me that extra reach that I need. and then it lets me gain life too. So Shadow Spear, some of the legendary equipment that I could search out for. Important thing, it gives trample and lifelink, and then the other ability is you can pay 1 permanent your opponent's control loses hexproof and indestructible. I haven't been able to use that ability yet, but it wouldn't be too bad if does come a time that it is going to be this situation arises. At least I have that. I could tutor for. All right. Sword of Light and Shadow. It has protection from white and black, but it lets me gain life. At the same time, I get to return a creature. So I have a lot of jump blockers that searches out for equipment, or not equipment, for an artifact of certain converted mana cost. So that's definitely a good thing that'll be good for. Conqueror's Flail, it gets a power boost, and at the same time tries so that my opponents can leave me alone on my turn, so they can't cast spells. Alright, Swiftwalk Boots, just protection. Gives it haste and hexproof. Can't go wrong with that. The Jite. Yeah, whenever it deals combat damage, it gets 2 charge counters. So this is very good with Sisay, because at least when you get a couple of charge counters on it, you could just pump it up and then try to activate this ability. So he gets that power boost, and the cards that you can get to look for it goes up too, so you could try to find some very powerful creatures and artifacts too with it. Argentum Armor, it's a +6/+6 spot removal. I have a lot of ways to equip for free, so this wouldn't be a too problem, and I have a couple of ways to search out for it too, so, and to put it directly into play, so it's good. Embercleave, some of the cards that I just, if I want to finish the game, I'll have this, but I have to be a little bit careful. So if I have a sword that gives it protection from red, if I give Sisay something like a Sword of Fire and Ice, this would fall off and I won't be able to attach it to it. Worst comes to worst, I'll attach it to a different creature. So just be mindful of that. Sword of the Animus. It's pretty much a land ramp. Mask of Memory, card draw, pretty much. Doesn't give you a power boost, but it does give you a good card draw too. Champion's Helm. Gives a power boost and gives it hexproof. And I have a lot of legendary creatures on here that it will definitely be welcomed. The hexproof will be very welcomed. Godsend, legendary artifact that I can search out for Sisay. Gets a +3/+3. Honestly, I haven't used the ability yet of exiling one of my blockers, so I can't really comment on that too much, but it is a very good card that I can search out for. Lightning Greaves, Haste and Shroud. Alright, Sword of Truth and Justice. This pretty much gives my creatures a power boost, power or toughness boost, if you say. So it gives them a +1/+1 counter if it gets to deal combat damage, and then it gets to proliferate, so it gets 2 +1/+1 counters most of the time, because this is I think this is the only card that I have that puts +1/+1 counters on my permanents. So. All right, so we hear that we're in the section where it lets me equip equipments for free, pretty much. So with Ardent Interpret Archaeologist. So this one, at the beginning of combat, you only get to attach one aura or equipment you control to another target permanent. So it lets me attach an equipment for free once. So that's very key there. but it usually once is pretty much is enough. So Brass Squire, pretty much the same thing, but you get to tap it. Worst comes to worst, it is a chump blocker. Or if somebody plays something, let's say a flesh bag marauder, where each player sacrifices a creature, so it'll be good there too, if it's already done its job. So. All right, Hammer of Nazan, another card that pretty much lets me equip for free, and at the same time protects Sisay too, because it grants indestructible. All right, another one. This is Plan B, pretty much. So Balan the Wandering Knight. So I have, since you've seen, I have a lot of powerful artifacts, equipment. So if I have at least 2 of the swords, and all I gotta do is attach all equipment you control to Balan and just attack. So if it's attached with 2 or more equipment, it gets double strike. So it'll do short work of an opponent's life total. Granted, Sisay already dealt a couple of damage to it already. So that's Plan B. Part of the Plan B plan is Armory Automaton. So whenever it attacks it literally just attaches any target of equipment to it. So it gets a really big power boost. So Pure Steel Paladin, at least it gives me card advantage. It lets me draw a card for each equipment that comes into play. And at the same time, if I have Metalcraft, which means if I had 3 or more artifacts in play, I get to equip for 0. So very good card. Sigarda's Aid, you gotta love it. It lets me play my equipments for at flash speed, and at the same time it lets me equip them for free too whenever they whenever they enter the battlefield. So pretty much helps me out in the ramp section too. So here we're Unbreakable Formation. Now we're in the trying to protect my commander section. So Unbreakable Formation, all my creatures gains indestructible, and if I cast this on my turn, I get a +1/+1 ability. So I lied. I have another card that gives me another a +1/+1 counter on any of my creatures. Heroic Intervention, pretty much the same. Gain all my permanents gains hexproof and indestructible. Very good card. Let's put it there. All right. Swan Song counters any instants or sorceries that wants to kill my commander or creatures. Now we're in the ramp section. So we'll try to, this is pretty much the same. So I have a lot of tree visits in Nature's Lore, but I'm running out, so that's why I'm just trying to recycle some of them here. So we'll go through this real quick. It's pretty much the same package for my ramp. So 3 visits, Soul Ring, Noble Hierarch. This is unique. Well, this is not unique to this deck, but since I have a set of this, so I'm able to at least distribute this to other decks. So yeah, Arcane Signet. Thankfully, they did put this in uncommon, and every commander deck has it. So definitely drove the price down a lot. So which is good. All right, Felwar Stone, Nature's Lure, Wood Elves, Farseek, Birds of Paradise, and then some of my win condition cards. So with Danita Capuchin, it has a lot of good abilities. First Strike, Vigilance, Lifelink, and kind of gives me a little bit of ramp because it lets me, all my equipment cost 1 less to cast, so which is good. If Sisay is not in the field, this is a pretty good creature to equip some of my equipment to. So, Dalakos, Crafter of Wonders. So this is ramp pretty much for me when it comes to my artifacts. So I pay 2, I tap it, I pay 2, then I can only cast it. I can only use it to cast artifacts or activate abilities of artifacts, which means equipping creatures. So it has Another bonus of all my equipped creatures having flying or haste, which is very crucial, especially if the ground is pretty clogged up with a lot of blockers. So if I need to go up in the air, having a Delacos in the field is probably one of the ones that I'll be searching up with Sisay with its activated ability. Saskia, the Unyielding, if you need to take out another player that their defense is pretty good. Let's say they have a lot of, it's a Pillow Fort deck. Like, it's almost next to impossible trying to attack him. So, attack him or her. So, having Saskia definitely helps a lot in that situation. Rafeq of the Many. Very much good. It's good. It gives double strike. So, most of the time, Sisay is the only one that's attacking. So, giving it a power boost and double strike too at the same time is pretty good. And at the same time, it boosts its power toughness by 3 because it has 3 colors. So with having Rafeq in the field, it'll be a 5/5. Sisay will be a 5/5. And then with the Exalted, if it's attacking, it'll be a 6/6 double striking creature. If it doesn't have any other equipment to it. Alright. Rehab Master Smith. Pretty much when most of the time Sisay will have some sort of equipment, giving it double strike is a very good ability to have. Shardless Agent is just there as a chump block. It's a chump blocker or anything that I need to, if somebody plays, like, let's say this card, Flashback Marauder, or anything that sacrifices a creature, I'll have Shardless Agent because at least whenever it does cascade into something, it'll either cascade into a ramp spell or an equipment spell that converted mana cost 2 or less. So at least give something when it comes into field. So slash the ranks. I'm trying this out, testing it, see how well it goes. So it says destroy all creatures or planeswalkers except for commanders, since this is a Voltron style deck. So it's worth the shot to see how well it goes. So we're in the card draw section now. So Akiri, Fearless Voyager. This one is, it'll always net me at least a card. But if I'm able to attack 2 opponents at one attack phase or one combat phase, it's pretty good. At least it gets me through to 2 cards. At the same time, it gives it has activatability of giving Sisay indestructible in just long and attach an equipment, so which is some protection too, which is good. Now we're in the board wipe section. So Toxic Deluge, nothing else to say. Pay X life since I have a lot of creatures, a lot of spells that do +X+X. Oh, gains me life. I'm sorry, that gains me life. So all I gotta do is pay X life, and then all creatures gains -X/-I. Recruiter of the Guard. So with Recruiter Guard, I have a lot of creatures that is 2/2 that I would search for. So let's probably search out for this. For Rehab Master Smith, because it's a 2/2. I'll search for a couple of, if need be. If they took care of that Sisay, at least I'll be able to search out for her. So this is pretty much just a backup plan, and worst comes to worst, if I'm a little bit mana screwed, I could search out for this one, for Wood Elves or a Noble Hierarch. Worst comes to worst, or the Birds of Paradise. So, or a Pure Steel Paladin. So it does have a lot of utility in my deck. So usually they use the Recruiter of the Guard for combos, but I've never been much of a combo player. So as much as possible, I don't try to put combo wins in my deck. So just the same. So let's go through that. That's done. Imperial Recruiter is the same as the Recruiter of the Guard. It pretty much searches out for the same thing. Alright, Tribute Mage. So this one, it searches out for a couple of art equipment that I need and a couple of minor rocks if I have to. So it can search out for these two. The Felwar Stone and Arcane Signet if I'm a little bit mana screwed. And when it comes to equipment, Lightning Greaves or a Mask of Memory or a Sword of Animus. So those are two very good artifacts that you could search out for. Or a Jite or a Swiftfoot Boots and a Conqueror's Flail. So those are a couple of cards that you can search out for. At the same time, whenever a player uses a sacrifice, or each player sacrifices a creature, I'll just use it as a chump and have it sacrifice. Because with the Voltron strategies, that's one of the things that you have to be weary of. Because even if you do give it indestructible hexproof, if a player forces you to sacrifice Sisay, then you really don't have anything you could really do about it. Now, unless you have something to sacrifice it, another creature to sacrifice it. So, okay, Captaincy Sisay. This pretty much is the original one, and it could just tap and then look for a legendary card. Pretty much card advantage. So, open the armory, search this out for an equipment, and put it directly into my hand. So, Trinket Mage. Pretty much it just looks for Soul Ring or the what is that? The legendary permanent Shadow Spear. I don't think there's really anything else you could really search out for other than those two. Yeah, so those are the only thing you can just search out for. And then yeah, it's pretty much just since I don't have any artifact lands in this deck, so that's the only thing you can really search out for. But it's more than pretty much just a chump blocker on the same at that point. So probably if there's another card that needs to get cut, it's probably gonna be this card. Godo, Bandit, Warlord. So this searches out for Argentum Armor. So this is definitely a card that Argentum Armor or an Evercleave. So a lot of my high casting cost spells, this is what I'll search out for and just put it directly into play. And then hopefully I have something to equip it that let me equip it for free. So pretty good deck. Pretty good guard for this deck. Stone Hewer Giant. It's a search. So Nazan, Reverend Bladesmith. So with Nazan, it looks for the hammer most of the time, and it literally just puts it directly into play. So with the hammer of Nazan, so you're pretty much getting a 2-for-1 really. So if you have that hammer of Nazan in your deck and you put this directly into play, so you get to attach it for free too. So it's a good card, and it's a legendary that I could search out for. If I have enough power on Sisay to search out for it, that's definitely one of the first cards that I will search out for to give Sisay some protection. Trophy Mage. The only thing is, it just searches out for all the swords that I have in my deck. That's pretty much it. Because I have a lot of good equipment at 3 converted mana costs. So. Steel Shaper's Gift. What else can you say about it? It's pretty good. Relic Seeker. Another artifact search card. Now, we're here in the spot removal section. So this is pretty slim. So we got Sword Supply Shares and Path to Exile. And when it comes to Graveyard Recursion, just Eternal Witness. Because it definitely can, whenever somebody destroys an artifact or an equipment, at least I want to have a way to return it. So Eternal Witness is definitely the way to go. So with that, that is the last of my deck. Last of Sisay the Weatherlight Captain Commander deck. So hope you enjoy watching. Please give me a feedback on the comment section to help me make this channel better. Yeah, please like, share, and subscribe. All right, have a good day.